Okay, in the book, it has several sections on basic navigation of SAP BW. Okay, so this is where I will ask you just to log in and practice on your own for section 2.3, section 2.4, and so on. Because as you probably know that the best way to learn in terms of software products is just use it, right? For instance, some people would say that SAP stands for sit and play. So the more time you spend on it, then the better you become. So I'll ask you to go through sections 2.3 and 2.4 on your own, but try not to do 2.5, okay? Because 2.5 is on business content, which involves objects that are used by everybody by every user. Okay, so if you change settings in section 2.5, it may affect other users. So you can read about the operations in section 2.5, but try not to do it yourselves. Okay, but do practice section 2.3 and 2.4. And when you do that, you will be basically using the data warehousing workbench of SAP BW, which is the major tool for the design, the monitoring, and the administration activities in BW. Okay, this tool actually is supposed to be used by the administrator and also developers. Okay, developers and administrators, not by end users. So you have all the authorities available to the administrator. Therefore, if you make changes to the business content, as I mentioned earlier in section 2.5, you're going to affect every user of the system. So that's not good. Okay. Anyway, to use the workbench, the transaction code is RSA1, so you can do that, and then you can be taken to the workbench, and then you will notice the various functions that are available to the developer or to the administrator. Okay, the functions are shown under the navigator on the left-hand side, including modeling, administration, transport, connection, and so on. Okay, so the developer will be concerned with modeling the most. The administrator will be using the administration function. And for your assignments, BW assignments in the future, you'll be using mostly the modeling functions. Next, I'd like to talk about the business content a little bit more. This is one of the advantages of SAP BW, if you remember, because with BW, we have some built-in content, okay, built-in objects that come with the software, so that a company does not have to start from scratch when they build a data warehouse. Okay, so all the objects that you see here, starting from the bottom, extractors, info objects, info sources, transfer rules, info providers, queries, and so on. Okay, they are all available in business content. So they are, they have some standard objects available, and then they can be used or modified and so on by a company for their data warehousing project. Okay, so any business content object can be used as is, okay, without modifications or with modifications, and also can be saved as a template as a for future use by a company and so on. Okay, so also notice that it is important to understand that a business content object will have different versions. Okay, when an object is first delivered, it will be in the let me see, D for deliver. Okay, so the version, if it shows as D, that means it is a delivered version. It comes with BW. Okay, and then once an object is modified, you will show that the version. You will show M as the version. Okay, so that means that the object has been modified. But it cannot be used just yet. Okay, an object will have to be activated before it can be used. Okay, so once an object is activated, the version will become A for active actually. So to recap, an object will have three versions: D for delivery, and A for active, and then M for modify. Okay. As you will learn that all objects in BW, once created, have to be activated before they can be used. Finally, the book talks about the implementation options for SAP BW. Okay, it talks about two major options. The core landscape option basically is similar to the one that we talked about before, where you have an enterprise data warehouse, and then from the enterprise data warehouse, you can then create additional data marts. Okay, so data will flow from the enterprise data warehouse to individual data marts that are located in different countries, for instance. Okay, we're talking about a multinational company that has several BW instances, for instance. The peripheral landscape, on the other hand, you also have one enterprise data warehouse and then several data marts, but data flow is two ways, both ways. Okay, data flows from the enterprise data warehouse to data marts, but data can also flow back from data marts to the enterprise data warehouse. Okay, so that's a variation architecture that we have not talked about before. But as I mentioned before, that in theory we have, for instance, one conceptual layer model described by SAP, but in practice or in reality, you're going to see a variety of architectures implemented at different companies.